Chelsea has become a line-breaking machine as the Blues are bypassing opposition defenses with their clever movement and unpredictable passes. In basic terms, it's a normal back three setup with a clear emphasis on the positioning of the double pivot. Maresca wants the double pivot to pin the opposition midfield line. The intention is to create two lines of midfield. The first line of pivots is usually created by an inverted fullback and a proper center midfielder. The second line will be created by the other center midfielder and an attacking midfielder. Every possession-oriented team uses this double midfield occupation, and Maresca's method is to utilize the 3-2 base. If the fullback was wide, as in a conventional system, then the center midfielder would be forced to become part of the double pivot, and it means there won't be that double midfield occupation. Some teams may invade the winger to equip these half spaces, but Maresca's method has its own unique advantages. Now the double pivot drops to drag the midfield line, and this will expand the space between the lines. By having a good ball-playing defender like James, Chelsea can easily break the press using that option between the lines. See how much space is vacated between the midfield and back line. The same double pivot is pinning the midfield line, and this means one of the center midfielders is forced to keep track of the pivot, while the other one is already pinned. Both midfield lines have their own tactical intentions. In addition, the striker pins the center back so that he won't jump. Also, the wide winger is dragging the fullback. All these subtle details made the penetration possible. This four-man midfield occupation gives multiple progression possibilities for the center backs. In this sequence, the opposition isn't pressing the center backs. Instead, they want to deny access to these midfielders. Now Chelsea will try to destabilize this pressing approach by simply moving the ball within their three-man base. If you look closely, the intentions are evident. The reference point or the pivot player is checking for the possibility of their trained third-man pattern. The same 3-2 base we saw in the previous sequences has quickly changed into a 3-1 shape. Here there are multiple intentions. The center backs can either directly play into any of the three options or they may use any combinations. By having multiple players inside the opposition's mid-block, Chelsea naturally creates pressing dilemmas for everyone. Here the opposition has two center midfielders and both are trying to mark two potential options. As Chelsea played it to the center, the midfield line obviously reacts by shifting their block. The simple idea might be to immediately mark the next potential free option using the midfield protector, and his partner can drop deep to cover for him. But here, the midfielder is threatened by the position of the pivot, who will be free if he drops. So he stayed high, and this resulted in the first midfield overload. In an ideal case, this problem could have been solved if the midfield protector stayed central and asked his wide forward to close down the free player. But in a real match situation, any opposition press will get disrupted by the movement of these interior players. Here three players are somewhat focused on marking the same player. So the whole point is simple. Maresca is creating pressing dilemmas for the opposition by having multiple midfield players. Since the direct options are closed, the centre back plays it back, and we can clearly see how the midfield overload created a free man in the middle. This was the opposition structure a few seconds earlier, and after just two passes, the whole structure is destabilized and the press can be easily bypassed. Even if the opposition decides to press the centre backs, contrary to the previous sequence, Chelsea has alternative solutions. If the opposition commits three players to close down Chelsea's three-man base, then the pivot will be free, as they have shifted to a 3-1-3 shape. Now the pivot will be closed down, and Chelsea escapes the press by using the third-man combination. This was the same pattern they were trying to execute in the previous sequence. But then, the opposition wasn't pressing the centre back, so Chelsea didn't use it. Here they went for it, as the centre back was pressed. These are the two common build-up ideas to use against different pressing approaches. We have a similar sequence with the centre backs under pressure. Here again, it's the pivot who becomes that free option, as the inverted fullback drags the centre midfielder. See how the 3-2-2 structure moves into that 3-1-3 structure to offer multiple options for the pivot. Since the opposition closed all three options, the pivot chose the alternative. So far, Chelsea has been good at using these penetrative passes to break the opposition. But we are yet to see what will happen if these passes are intercepted by the Premier League's counter-attacking teams.